Hey Summoners, how's it going? My name is Nathan and I'm here with another high elo tier list for you guys. This video only covers champion changes, so make sure to check out our initial patch rundown where we cover everything that's happened in this patch. Unlike tier list in that video, we'll be catering this one towards high elo players this time. Make sure you hit that sub button so we can continue creating content for you guys. Now, let's go ahead and jump right into the video. In the top lane, let's kick things off with a nerf to Urgot. His W's on hit modifier was reduced from 75% to 50%. 75% is absolutely insane considering the high fire rate that he has while it's active. Specific items like Titanic Hydra benefited far too much from this, and this led Urgot's DPS to being disgustingly high. Urgot is a solid pick in high elo, but an even better one in low elo. With this nerf, we think that he'll be remaining in the A tier. He was previously underplaced, but the loss of 25% on his hit modifier will definitely do some damage. Next is a nerf to Renekton. The bonus health on his ultimate was reduced from 250 to 750 to 250 to 550. We previously had Renekton placed at the top of our A tier because of his incredible popularity. While his win rates weren't spectacular, he was a favorite among high elo players because of his safety and ability to dominate lane. Plus, he's also kind of fun. Whether you're blind picking or counter picking, Renekton is a good default pick when you have no indicators to help you make a good decision. With this nerf to his ultimate, players will have to make the most out of his early game to mid game to continue finding success on him. We'll leave Renekton in the A tier for this patch. By the way guys, if you're trying to improve, head over to ProGuides.com where we're running a promotion. You can save 20% on our subscription using the code RANKUP2021, so check it out. The biggest top lane change this patch is a nerf to Gnar. As the strongest top lane for a few patches now, it's time that he's finally got a nerf. I mean, who likes playing against ranged top lanes anyway? And if you're one of those people that do play ranged top lanes, I don't really respect you. Gnar has had his chance to shine after being weak for entire seasons, and even after this nerf, he'll still be a solid pick. There were direct item nerfs like to Strikebreaker this patch, which will contribute to Gnar being weaker. The direct nerf is that his W's base damage was decreased by 10. This change doesn't seem like it'll be enough to bring him down the tier list, however. That leaves the big question of who's going to be OP this patch. Our high elo analysts point at one brave girl, Poppy. With quarantine, if you want to get hammered, Poppy might be the way to go. Poppy is and has been one of the most versatile tanks in the game for quite a while now. She's had some good damage, is tanky because, well, she's a tank obviously, but most importantly, her kit provides so much freedom and room for creativity. You can eat through minions, position yourself to stun enemies against the wall, choose which abilities you want to stuff with your W, and you can either use your ultimate for crowd control or hard disengage. Having options is something that high elo players value a lot. With Sunfire Aegis being buffed and Strikebreaker being nerfed this patch, we'd expect tanks in general to be a little bit more stronger moving forward. Our OP top lane picks are Darius, Riven, Poppy, and Gnar, followed up by Camille, Pantheon, Ornn, Shen, Malphite, Aatrox, Cho'Gath, Irelia, and Fiora in the S tier. Shen is another champion that you should keep an eye out for with buffs to Sunfire Aegis. Now, let's go ahead and jump into the jungle. Everyone has wanted Hecarim nerfed aside from the Hecarim players, and we got them this patch. His Q's damage was decreased from 60 to 228 to 60 to 208, a massive loss in DPS later into the game. While his early game clear speed hasn't taken a very big hit, he's much weaker than before in the mid to late game. However, being much weaker doesn't mean that he's still not OP. Our analysts think that he's still worthy of the OP tier after this nerf. Karthus was also nerfed this patch in the same way. Karthus' Q now deals 10 less damage at max rank. It's uncanny how much of these two champions have in common: spammable Qs and incredible presence in high elo. Our analysts have the exact same thoughts about Karthus as Hecarim. He was already such a powerful pick in high elo that he'll probably remain OP even after this nerf. Speaking of all the Q's abilities, here's our question of the day. What champion's Q is your favorite? I really like Yone's. It feels like Yasuo's but way cooler. Not only is it satisfying, but it's also very strong, and I do enjoy trying to style on opponents in normal games. I mean, Yone is kind of broken, but you know, it is what it is. Let me know your favorite ones in the comments down below. Lilia is next, and she's the second most picked jungler after Hecarim last patch. While her results in solo queue don't merit this change, Lilia's competitive success is cause for concern. Her ultimate's cooldown was increased from 130 to 90 to 150 to 110. With that being the only nerf, we'll think that she'll still remain in the S tier. Volibear jungle has been underperforming heavily and has gotten buffed this patch. I mean, he was almost unbearable to play in the jungle. Sorry. His W heal against wounded jungler monsters was increased from 50% to 100%. Also, his E's damage cap was changed from a scaling 150 to 750 to 750 flat. The end result is that Volibear should be much better at clearing neutral objectives and also have a much better and healthier clear than before. We'll keep him in the B tier for now. Shinzo. One of the biggest changes this patch was for Shinzo. First, his passive heal was changed from 10 to 112 plus 10% AD and 40% AP to 7 to 92 plus 10% AD and 55% AP. He now has more healing if he chooses to build AP, but suffers from a slightly lower base amount. Next, his Q's damage was decreased from 20 to 52 to 16 and 52. A very minor nerf because there were plenty of buffs to offset this. His W got a ton of work this patch. The cooldown was reduced from 12 to 8 seconds to 12 to 6 seconds. The range on the second hit increased from 900 to 1000, and finally an AP ratio of 50% was added to the second hit. The cast time was increased from 0.5 to 0.4 based on attack speed to 0.5 seconds flat. The mana cost was increased from 45 to 60, the reduced minion damage decreased from 50 to a scaling 50 to 0%, and the thrust damage can now be increased by up to 33% based on critical strike chance. Aside from this, W's second hit also challenges champions and monsters, providing vision on the target for 3 seconds. Another change is that Shinzo's E's cooldown has been lowered from 12 to 11 seconds, the dash speed has decreased from 3000 to 2500, but the cast range has increased to 1100 against challenge targets. That means landing your W now sets you up to dash onto them much earlier. Last on the list, his ultimate's duration was changed from 3 seconds extended by basic attacks and spells to 5 seconds flat. A flat 110% AP ratio was also added to the ability. Players have already begun experimenting heavily with AP builds, and we moved him up to the B tier. ROP picks for the jungle are Kha'Zix, Karthus, Hecarim, and Elise, followed up by Udyr, Graves, Nunu, Evelynn, Kayn, Lilia, Kindred, Talia, Fiddlesticks, Ivern, Rek'Sai, Viego, Nidalee, and Skarner in the S tier. We'll be keeping an eye on Shinzo as people figure out builds, but we'll keep you updated. Now let's go ahead and talk about the mid lane. Like with Shinzo, Akali's receiving a ton of changes this patch. She's been underperforming and the net result should be a buff. To kick things off, her base health was reduced from 575 to 500, and her HP per level increased from 95 to 105. Her passive no longer restores energy. However, her Q's energy cost was lowered from 120 to 100 to 130 to 70, but will no longer deal bonus damage to minions at level 9. Next, her W increases her max energy by 80. Although her level 1 is much weaker, the energy pool that Akali has to work with later on is much more higher than before. You also don't gain energy back now, so you're not forced to expose yourself except when you need to. Akali's E's total damage was increased from 100 to 380 plus 70% AD and 100% AP to 100 to 450 plus 85% AD and 120% AP. However, rather than dealing half damage on both hits, the split was changed from 30 to 70 ratio. To benefit from this buff, you have to commit to your E to hit both parts of it. Finally, her ultimate's first cast down deals magic damage, and the damage was buffed from 125 to 325 plus 50% bonus AD to 80 to 360 plus 50% bonus AD and 30% AP. Akali is up to the A tier this patch after all of these changes. Next, Leblanc got a minor buff. Her W's mana cost was reduced from 60 to 120 to 60 to 100. The biggest change though is that Luden's Tempest was buffed this patch. She's going to be dealing much more damage than before with it, and the mana cost buff should help her out when she's unable to secure a blue buff for herself. Leblanc is up to the S tier this patch, which I'm not really looking forward to. I hate that champion. Sylas also got buffed. His passive attack speed was increased from 80% to 125%, and his W's cooldown decreased from 13 to 7 to 13 to 6 seconds. The short cooldown on his W is pretty ridiculous. Especially when his opponents don't have healing reduction, it's quite challenging to take Sylas out after this buff, which I can relate to because it's quite challenging to take me out on a date. This is why. Sylas is on the border of S tier right now, and we'll be continue to keep tabs on him to see if he deserves to move up next patch or not. There are various of other shifts that we had to make. Following changes to Immortal Shield Bow, we moved Yone down from the OP tier to the S tier. Ryze has also gone up to the A tier after the buff to Ludens, while Cassiopeia has gone up into the S tier. Seraphine is going down in tier after the nerfs to defensive items as well as the follow-up on her previous nerfs. ROP picks in the mid lane are Katarina, Kassadin, and Talon, followed up by Fizz, Zed, Annie, Anivia, Galio, Viego, Yasuo, Pantheon, Echo, Twisted Fate, Kiana, LeBlanc, Cassiopeia, and Yone in the S tier. While the bottom lane hasn't seen direct changes aside from what happened to Shield Bow, we made a couple of shifts this patch. First, Miss Fortune is down to the B tier and Samira is moved up to the B tier. Miss Fortune has been falling off in high elo as the meta has developed. Other champions can consistently outscale her or outrange her in lane. For a champion that's supposed to bully out the competition hard, it's unfortunate that she can't find as many matchups to dominate as before. Samira is up to the B tier after the previous buffs that have allowed her to find more success. Seraphine has been readjusted to the S tier as the nerfs have still left her in an okay spot as a bottom lane carry. Finally, Swain is up to the S tier with his recent success, and Tristana has moved up to the OP tier. Tristana has gained an immense amount of popularity in elite play as players are rewarded heavily for smart play, whether it's aggressive or more passive. Making the right choices leads you to scaling up and becoming a late game powerhouse who can capitalize off of takedown resets. Our OP picks for this patch are Kai'Sa and Tristana, followed up by Ezreal, Vayne, Jinx, Jhin, Swain, and Seraphine. We'll conclude with supports. Even after buffs to help him as a support, Pike has been underperforming. He was buffed once again this patch. Pike's E cooldown was lowered from 15 to 11 seconds. 4 seconds less in the late game is huge. With more mobility and crowd control, players should have much more impact in games. Whether it's by being that annoying pest the enemy team can never finish off, or by picking the right moments to jump in and go all in, Pike has been much better off in this patch. We expected Pike to do well last patch and we'll be keeping him in the A tier after placing him a little bit too high previously. Honestly, not super stoked about this because I hate Pike, but you know what, it is what it is. We made a few other adjustments to the list. First, Sona is down to the B tier and Nami to the A tier. With the meta developing to value aggressive supports even more, these fragile enchanters are having a much more harder time than before. We were on the fence about bumping Yumi down as well, but she's performing better than many other supports right now, so she's not ready to budge just yet. One notable change is that Blitzcrank has found his way into the S tier again. Once again, it's Hook City for supports. Although Nautilus falls a little bit behind the competition, he's chilling in the A tier as his incredible lockdown leaves squishy enemies with no breathing room. Blitzcrank's ability to make picks is extremely valuable given how much burst damage is present elsewhere on the map. Middling assassins are extremely popular, and since Blitzcrank's able to spoon-feed picks to bursty champions, he has been led to the top tier pick once again. Bard is on the cusp of breaking onto the OP tier, but the play rate is still on the low side and players gained more experience playing against him. His win rates may drop a little bit. With the Locket meta still present, Rel has remained an incredible pick in high ELO. While we thought the nerfs would be dropping her out of the OP tier, she remains over a 25% ban rate and continues to find plenty of success. Finally, while Leona remains a powerful pick, she's fallen off as players learn how to play against her. Unfortunately, while she's strong, Leona is one of the most linear supports in the game. All of her utility is best used when running at her opponents and playing aggressively. A pick that's managed to reclaim her spot is Lulu though. She's one of the few enchanters who can reliably keep a teammate alive. Her ultimate might only be good for saving one ally, but it does that job very well. Combined with her shield and polymorph, Lulu is a reliable enchanter who can get the job done in a way that manages to always irritate her opponents. Our OP picks this patch are Thresh, Rel, and Lulu, followed up by Bard, Morgana, Janna, Alistar, Blitzcrank, and Leona. That'll be wrapping up our high ELO tier list for patch 11.6. Make sure to check out our description link if you want to be a part of the Discord community. We could definitely hang out and just chill. Just go ahead and tag me and maybe we could get some games in. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I really hope you guys stay safe during these times. Things have been looking much better, but we still all need to be putting in an effort to make sure we all come out okay. I'll catch you guys in the next video, and as always, stay safe, stay healthy, and have a wonderful day. Peace.